Hey friends, this is the Mrs. Wolfie from Our Half Acre Homestead, and today we're going to re-knit the toe of a damaged hand knit sock. Now, when my son Arthur came to visit and help out, his girlfriend came to visit and she was wearing these socks. Now, I think I'm going to try and re-knit this toe. Let me get my knitting gear. Okay, I can't find a crochet hook, so I'm just going to take another knitting needle and put it through this loop, and then I'm just going to double back under and grab it. There. Now that loop is up to standard with the rest. So those are safely in place. Don't make the mistake in thinking you can just cut this white part off. It doesn't work that way. You're just going to end up trying to pull out 100 different threads. Here, in this method, we're picking up what is dropped. I will sort out how many I'm supposed to have on each needle once I have these all picked up. And now I'm just going to thread these stitches through on the needle, or on the knitting needle. And oh, you know what? We're going to get to graph to spot it too, because there's a hole there. Okay, so what we have is, this seems to be the last stitch, so we want to count our stitches first before here, let's just slip these onto 2 needles so that we can do a better job of counting. 32, 34. Okay, we want to divide this in half, so that means there should be 17 stitches on this needle, because we're doing the toe, right? And the toe gets decreased on this end, and this end, and this end, and this end. So we have 8, 8, and 17 on the back. Now, this has it's really short. So I'm going to try and untie it, because I want as much of this tail left as possible so I can attach the new yarn. If I can't untie it, then I would cut it. And then I would loosen these 3 stitches so that I could get enough of a tail to tie. And this yarn is the closest match I have. We don't really want to double it unless we have to, because, well, you don't want to step on knots when you're using your hand knit socks, right? We'll give it a tug and we'll trim off. And now we're ready to re-knit the toe. Now, to start off, I'm just going to knit 1 round. Oh, this is all wrong, actually, because this is supposed to be in the center of the heel. So I'm going to start knitting until I think I've hit the center of those stitches. All right. That looks to be more the center of the heel. Let me see. Somebody did the heel in a double color, which is nice, because we can count how many rows are in the heel. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Go straight up here. Count that stitch all the way up. And there is the center of our toe. So we're going to make this needle we have 4, so we're going to take 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, that means this is, then we're going to take these last 8 stitches that are left on that needle, because they're not centered. we're going to slip them onto the top of the toe needle so that we can disperse them more evenly onto the back of the next needle. This is not an exact science when it comes to re-knitting toes. You really have to kind of know what you're doing. So now we only have 4 stitches here. We're going to start the next needle. And because we want 8, we're going to take 4 more off the back of the other needle, and then our toe will be centered in round. You really want it centered because you've got to decrease to make the toe tapered. So we're going to take, we have 4, we're going to take 4 more. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so what we've done now, as you can see, this is the center of the bottom of the foot. You see what I mean? How it's got to be centered. And we should have 17 stitches here. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 17. Excellent. So now I'm going to finish knitting 1 round in the white. And then we'll get on to decreasing the toe. Okay. See, now we've got it all ready to redo the toe. And that's really simple. We are just going to knit the first needle to the last 3 stitches. We're going to knit 2 together, knit 1. The next needle, we're going to knit 1, slip 1, knit 1, and pass slip stitch over. Knit to the last 3 stitches because this is needle number 2, so we're decreasing on both ends. That's why this needle, needle number 2, has the most stitches. But the 2 needles, 2 and 3, they have the same number of stitches as is on needle 2 combined. And we're going to knit 2 together, knit 1, and on to needle 3. And because it's the beginning of the round, we don't knit 2 together, we knit 1, slip 1, knit 1, and then pass the slip stitch over. And then I'm just going to knit 1 round even without doing any decreases. And because I'm just knitting, I'm not going to go slow, so. And no, I haven't sped up the camera, I'm actually pretty slow because, well, I don't knit as often as I used to. I'm going to continue knitting. This is needle number 3. This is needle number 1, number 2, and number 3. Now I'm going to continue in this fashion, which is knitting to the end of needle number 1 to the last 3 stitches, knit 2 together, knit 1, and then go on to the next one, which is needle 2, and at the beginning and the end I'm going to knit 1, slip 1, knit 1, pass the slip stitch over, come down to the last 3 stitches on this needle, knit 2 together, knit 1, and at the end of needle number 3, I'm going to knit 1, slip 1, knit 1, and pass slip stitch over. Then I'm going to knit an entire round. So we're going to knit a round in between our decrease rounds. Okay, as you can see, my yarn is thinner and my needles are thinner. So my toe is a little bit tighter than the original one, but you know what? Considering the shape it was in, I think that's pretty good. So now we're down to our last decrease round. We want 6 stitches on each side. Well, 7 on this one and 6 on this one. So we're going to do our last decrease round. which is knit to the last 3 stitches of each of this needle, knit 2 together, knit 1, on to needle number 2 where we decrease at both ends, knit 1, slip 1, knit 1, pass slip stitch over, knit to the last 3 stitches, knit 2 together, knit 1, and the last needle. Knit 2 together and knit 1. Now I'm going to knit 1 round even, all the way around, and needle number 3 we're going to knit, and we're going to get rid of this needle altogether, and we're going to continue on knitting until the last 3 stitches on needle number 1 are on needle number 2. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take a nice, about a foot long strand. I'm going to cut off our yarn. Okay, now I have my blunt nose darning needle, and I'm going to thread that 12-inch end on there. Now, a lot of people don't bother grafting the toe. This isn't the best color of fabric to learn to do this on. As you can see from the other sock, the person who knitted this has just knitted it down and then just threaded it through the last 6 or so stitches and then tied it, and it comes apart pretty easy. Where grafting the toe does not come apart as easily. So remember, the top of the foot is the front of the sock, or the front needle. So what we're going to do now is, this is basically, we're going to, excuse me. Okay, once again, the camera was not running. Okay, I've got half the toe finished here, so I'm just going to try and show you what I've done. Okay, starting with the front needle. The needle in the front is the needle on the top of the sock. Okay, and the needle on the back is the needle at the bottom end of the sock. So we're going to take our thread and our first stitch on the front needle. We're going to insert our darning needle knitwise through the loop, pull it through, and then slip that stitch off, the second purlwise, and leave it on. Then we're going to take our yarn under, and we're going to go to the back needle and insert our darning needle through purlwise, slipping it off, and knitwise with the second stitch, leaving it on. Bringing the yarn under, go through the first stitch on the front needle, knitwise, slip it off, second stitch purlwise, leave it on, take your thread under and go to the back needle, insert your darning needle through purlwise, slip that stitch off, second stitch knitwise, leave it on, and back to the front needle we're going to go knitwise, slip it off, purlwise, leave it on. Then our back stitch we're going to go through knitwise, slip that whole needle out, bring your needle back around, and the last stitch you're going to put knitwise and take your needle off. And essentially we've just re-knitted the toe. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take, there's our toe. Now we're going to take the rest of our yarn, or a portion of the rest of our yarn, and we're going to make our toe flat. We're going to turn it on its side. And we're going to go down through every other stitch along the side of the toe, down to the pink or down to the color. We're going to pull it, and then we're going to turn it around, and we're going to go back up the next side doing the same thing. And what this does is this weaves the yarn into the side of the sock toe so that you don't have to make a knot. You just give this a tug, you cut it off, and then you pull. And that pulls your tail back in through the side of the sock, and there's no knot. This is the Mrs. Wolfie from Our Half Acre Homestead saying, hand knit socks take a lot of work to make. Learn how to repair them so they last you so much longer. Take care.